Fortnite has countless Star Wars Easter eggs in-game. From an insane detail for C-3PO, a Darth Vader secret, and even the Death Star invading the island, today I'll show you all of them. So last year Fortnite did the unthinkable and brought Baby Yoda back to the game. But the coolest part was him eating blue cookies like he does in the show. You'll find that he regrets this immediately. You glide around, then land, and Grogu will get motion sick just like the show. Now, most of us are familiar with the Imperial March emote, but did you know it has a secret feature that only works with Vader? Yeah, if you do it while using him or a samurai version, he'll do his iconic breath. Now, of course, next season is gonna be Star Wars Overload, but we've already got our first loading screen from it, and this includes an amazing secret. On Wookiee Team Leader's satchel, you can see a C-3PO keychain, and not only does this confirm he's releasing as a skin, but look closer. The lightsabers are reflecting on a tiny part of his leg, and that's because C-3PO has a silver leg in the original films. It's a huge Mandela effect that people constantly argue about, believing he was fully gold, but he had this the whole time. Now let's talk about the Andorian Drum Kit. Most people dismiss these cosmetics because they're just festival items, right? Well, this kit is actually taken straight from Return of the Jedi, where Ewoks play the drums on stormtrooper helmets. And did you know there's a secret back bling you could only unlock with Princess Leia? Once you equip her disguise and disable your current back bling, it'll throw one onto the outfit, making this one of the most hidden cosmetics in Fortnite. And you can seriously tell that Epic are huge Star Wars fans when you explore the map. Like when stormtroopers used to roam the island, you could dress up as one and talk to them. They would ask if you've seen the new T-17. It's one of the longest running jokes in Star Wars because throughout the movies, from Rogue One to Rise of Skywalker, they constantly ask each other about the latest blaster models.
Hey, did you hear the rumor? Yeah, the T-15s have been marked obsolete. Oh boy, it's about time for that.
Over in LEGO Fortnite, there's a stage that'll only appear once you're far into camp upgrades. Then you can interact with it and play the Cantina song. It reminds me of the Cantina POI from Chapter 2. Hiding in the back room, you could use this horn. It would immediately change the background music from the generic Mandalorian soundtrack to the Cantina tune. What about a secret you'll never be able to own? Well, back in 2019, Rey had an exclusive emote that you could only get through challenges, and it's based on a scene from the movies. Now you might be wondering, why is she using a hologram? Well, that can be changed if you simply equip the stat pickaxe at the same time. Now you can't make a Star Wars Easter eggs video without talking about Darth Maul. He has one of the most accurate skins in the whole game, mostly because of one thing, his earring. This is because Darth Maul's actor forgot to take it off during filming, and they decided to keep it because it looked cool. Now it is immortalized even further in Fortnite. So I've shown you how Grogu reacts to the Fortnite world, but what about Yoda himself? Well, turns out he can get pretty bored if you just sit there. You'll also laugh after you heal. Now whenever you open a chest, you'll get nosy and check out the loot you have. But if you equip the cane pickaxe, you'll steal it straight from his hands. The Star Wars collabs have always been full of details, but they also have one major flaw, the pickaxes. Every single time without fail, Epic adds the most ridiculous pickaxes we've ever seen, like this vibro staff for Han Solo. Literally everyone laughed at this when it came out, but did you know it is secretly one of the most famous weapons ever used in the movies? That's right, this is the exact staff that Han uses to knock Boba Fett into the Sarlacc pit. Now we have learned why the description says Boba Fett where. Now they also have references to the prequels, like with Anakin's Jedi Interceptor. This is obviously taken straight from the start of Episode 3. And they went even further with the details, putting R2-D2 into the wing, and yeah, he actually looks around as you glide. One of the coolest droids is also the most unexpected. The Viper Probe droid may seem like an average back bling, but it's actually one of Fortnite's secret pets. When you get down, it'll leave your back and guard the area. Over in Star Wars instruments, we have the guitar. It's obviously inspired by the Cantina band, but some players might be confused when Fortnite asks you to not play this with your feet. That's because it belongs to Max Reboot, the character from the films who is actually playing it with his feet. So while everyone is excited for the new season and the release of C-3PO, it's easy to forget that he's already in the game. You remember that last year they gave us a disassembled version of this guy as a back bling? Well, when you drink shields and open chests, he is constantly turning on and off like the film. But what would make this guy even cooler would be a questline next season. Like, imagine if we could find these pieces of him around the map and have to assemble them to create the outfit. The opportunity is right there, Epic. Historically, they take these low-hanging fruit, like when they brought Darth Vader to the game and recreated his scene from Rogue One as the trailer. One of the tiny insane details you gotta appreciate was in Chapter 2 when Mando's bounty released. In the regular game, you could find him roaming around and he'd be wearing basically no Beskar armor. But when you visited Mando in his LTM, he'd be fully upgraded with his final outfit just like in the show. That's not the only way they pay attention to accuracy. Luke Skywalker's default style shows Anakin's lightsaber on his belt. And of course, when you switch to Luke's version from Return of the Jedi, not only does he have his robot hand, he has got his new lightsaber. Not everyone can fight with a saber though. This staff that comes with Chewbacca is actually inspired by the Wookiee's battle staff from Revenge of the Sith. And fun fact, that guy is Chewie's dad. And you see the way he celebrates in that movie scene? Well, Chewbacca's NPC will do the exact same thing when you get an elim. Alright, so we all might have laughed at the Mandalorian car when it released. I mean, its existence, it's pretty hilarious. But Fortnite did put a ton of detail into it. Like when you equip the armorer's decal, you can look on each side and spot her welding tools from the show. And speaking of looking closely, the stormtroopers in this trailer have an amazing secret. Yeah, this is a mashup of two iconic scenes from the original trilogy. Of course, the stormtroopers looking through binoculars, but also Luke getting ambushed by Tusken Raiders. On the topic of trailers, Darth Vader was first revealed in the Vibe and Cinematic, where you can see him lift a stormtrooper so he can ride the coaster. It's a tongue-in-cheek nod to...
Too short for a stormtrooper? Huh?
When they do get on the coaster, Vader even rams Peely off the track as a reference to the trench run scene. And of course, we all know what happens when you take out Vader. At the time, this was the first unique death animation in Fortnite. If you didn't know, this is because Disney doesn't allow anyone to quote-unquote kill Vader in video games. They even had to do the same thing in Battlefront 2. Personally, I love Han Solo's outfit. It is super accurate, even the description.
Why, you stuck-up, half-witted, scruffy-looking nerf herder.
Eventually, we know Han was frozen in carbonite, but he's not the only one. Turns out Peely had a bounty on him too. In Mando's house at Hunter's Haven, you'd find Peely permanently terrified in the exact same pose Han was. And if you were around during the May 4th event last year, you should have paid attention to the quests. Most people were rushing through these to get Chewbacca, but they were full of secrets. Like one was asking you to replenish 1138 health, which is a tribute to George Lucas's debut film, THX 1138. There's also damage quests for 501 and 327, which is units of the clone army, and there was even a secret quest they didn't tell you about. If you want a match with a Star Wars weapon, Vader tells you the Emperor will be most pleased. Unless, of course, you're a traitor to the Empire, in which case this emote is perfect for you. Not only is this a recreation of the scene from Force Awakens, it also removes the hologram if you use the baton pickaxe, just like Rey's emote. Speaking of Finn and the Sith Trooper, these two originally held guns in their lobby pose. It's pretty cool, but try it again in 2025, and Fortnite secretly removed it from their idle animation. The fun fact, you can catch a glimpse of it in their locker icons. We all have to admit that Boba Fett surprised everyone with his random stick pickaxe, and yet there's a reason for it. In his Disney Plus show, he spends time with the Tusken Raiders, and they award him his very own gaffy stick, which he brought to Fortnite. Another thing we were all equally confused about was when Obi-Wan arrived, and instead of a lightsaber, they gave him a tiny knife. It might be the strangest decision of all because it is from the Obi-Wan show, but it's just not important or anything. It shows up in like one scene, and it's where Obi-Wan is just cutting some meat for his job, it's just weird. And even though Palpatine is only just arriving in the game now, he's actually been referenced multiple times before, all leading up to this. Like he first appeared in the live event calling out over us.
The day of victory is at hand. The day of revenge. The day of the Sith.
What's crazy is these lines were actually canon to the movies, mentioned in the opening crawl. The next time was when he broadcast this during the prequels collab.
The time has come. Execute Order 66.
And the latest teaser was actually hidden in Lego. If you purchased the Empire Hideout pack, it only showed these tech decor items, but secretly, you'd actually be granted Palpatine's chair, yet another teaser for his impending arrival. The prequel collab also gave us Padme, which included an insane detail. Not only did she get a style just for the scene where her shirt was ripped in battle, but they also went full on with her face. Zoom in closely, and you'll notice they even got the mole on her face just like Natalie Portman in real life. They also paid a lot of attention to their animations too, because if you wait in the lobby or locker for long enough as Obi-Wan, you'll actually see him raise his hand and do this. Simple enough, but this subtle animation is actually his Jedi mind trick.
You don't need to see his identification.
Now, Grogu is actually in the game twice, but his first appearance has some secrets of their own. If you wait long enough, you can see him pick up and play with a silver ball, just like the series.
Grogu, give me the ball.
Wait again, and you might spot him drink some soup taken directly out of this scene. I cannot wait for this next season. Hope you guys enjoyed. It's been Tommy, and keep it here on Top 5 Gaming.